Scott Morrison, speaking of which, has got a press conference coming up. Do you know the details of that?
Well, he's with Erin Molan, who he tried to get to run for Eden Monero, so that should be interesting. It's all about this social media legislation, the anti-trolling bill that he's trying to get up, and I guess talking about the danger of social media at schools. We're at a school, but interestingly, we're in the electorate of banks, which the Liberal Party holds by 5.6%, Pete. And after the lockdowns here in Sydney, and this was an area which would have suffered a heavier lockdown, as did much of Western Sydney, it's seen as vulnerable and a possible pickup for Labor. David Coleman's the Assistant Minister who holds this seat. So I think you can see from the seat visits of Scott Morrison that the government are behind, that they're playing a lot of defence, not offence. We've seen them in Wentworth, Dave Sharma's seat. We've seen them in Reid, Liberal MP Fiona Martin's seat, and now Banks. It looks like he's trying to hang on to seats as opposed to win Labor seats at the moment. As we know, the PM's got a very thin majority. Long time to go, though. 6 months to go, or 5 months to go.
Back on Erin Molan, do you think she's on board at all? What's the word on Eden Monero?
No, she said no. She said no. Earns too much money, I think, Pete. Yeah.
OK, back on the Prime Minister, do you think that there's any progress? I mean, I asked Josh Frydenberg about this a short time ago when it comes to the diplomatic boycott of Beijing in the Winter Games next year. It seems likely that we will follow the US and do that given the recent AUKUS announcement. But do you think that we go there and is that decision made soon?
Yeah, a National Security Committee of Cabinet will meet this week and I think we'll follow the US and do a diplomatic boycott. All it means is your government doesn't go. The athletes still go, the team still goes. So it's a far cry from 1980 when the US boycotted the Moscow Summer Olympics, or 84 when Russia retaliated at Los Angeles. It's not taking the whole team out. So I think that's kind of interesting that you wouldn't go further. And the reason the US is doing is a treatment of a million Uyghurs in Xinjiang. And no doubt the government will proffer the same reason. I do note, though, a couple of front pages in the Telegraph last couple of weeks, one about where a Chinese warship was, and the other one today about an alleged plot to shut down power stations. So no doubt the Prime Minister will get some questions on that today. There's no doubt the government is hoping to say that Scott Morrison's your right man on the economy, or your right candidate on the economy, your right candidate on national security. And they don't mind talking up this conflict with China, but does it have its own drawbacks? And this seat, Banks, like Reid's, has a high Chinese-Australian population. Now, they might not be on board with the CCP, the Communist Party government at all, but they'll be concerned about a backlash from hawkish-type rhetoric from the government. So it's a fine balance. It's a fine line for the Prime Minister to walk, Pete.
Just finally on Gladys Berejiklian, I mean, again, on Josh, he wouldn't really go there earlier today with an update on how conversations are going. What are you hearing? Is she getting closer to making a decision on that, or do you think she's actually not keen?
Well, as I've said on Afternoon Agenda the past 2 days, it's not going to happen. It never was going to happen. But Gladys likes the stories to keep going. So as many journalists want to keep writing them, keep going, because Gladys likes that.
OK. Hey, is this press conference going to be finished before the first session at the Gabba?
Look, I don't know, but is the first session of the Gabba going to be on, Pete, is the bigger question for you, I would imagine, because rain is forecast for the next 5 days. And I don't want to encourage gambling, but I've just got on a draw of $3.
And, mate, it's come into $2.15, so you're not the only one. No, Tom Saunders, he's given us the hot take that it's going to come in from lunch, so we might get a session in there. But you're right, I think it's pretty good money to go for a draw. Yeah, $2.15. I think that's probably still even a good price.
Well, it's not as good a price, is it? But what I will say is if you're watching Fox Cricket and you're watching it and the rain comes, please tune into Afternoon Agenda and watch Kieran and I. We'll have lots of interesting news for you.
I always do anyway. Andrew Clennell, great to chat, as always. We'll talk to you soon.